The insult. She entered the Grand Hotel lobby quietly, her steps soft on the shiny marble floor. She wore a simple dress, plain shoes, and carried an old handbag. To her, this was just how she had always lived, nothing special, nothing fancy. But to the senior executives standing near the VIP desk, she looked completely out of place. They noticed her at once. One of them raised an eyebrow, another let out a short laugh. "Look at her," one whispered. "She doesn't belong here." The words were not loud, but they were sharp enough to cut. The woman kept walking, her head held steady, though her heart pounded. She had every right to be there, but their stares made her feel small. She stepped closer to the desk, trying to ask for help, when one of the executives stopped her with a smirk. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, his voice dripping with false politeness. "This section is reserved for important guests. Perhaps you should try the regular counter." The others chuckled, nodding as if he had said something clever. One even leaned closer and added, "She probably just came in to look around. People like her never stay here." Her cheeks burned, but she stayed quiet. She clutched her handbag tightly, as though it could protect her from their cruel words. She wanted to speak up, to explain, but her throat felt dry. Instead, she stood still, enduring their laughter, her silence more powerful than any reply. Around the lobby, other guests began to notice. Some pretended not to see, turning away to avoid the uncomfortable scene. A few looked at her with pity, but nobody stepped in. The executives carried on, their pride growing with each insult. One of them said loudly, "Even her shoes look like they belong in a thrift store." The others laughed again, their voices echoing through the grand hall. She lowered her eyes for a moment, thinking of leaving, thinking of escaping their humiliation. But something deep inside told her to wait. Something told her that this moment was not the end of the story. And then, suddenly, the atmosphere changed. The sound of firm footsteps echoed through the lobby. The voices fell silent, the laughter stopped. All eyes turned toward the entrance. The billionaire CEO had just walked in. The recognition. The moment the billionaire CEO stepped into the lobby, everything shifted. The executives, who had been laughing, suddenly straightened their jackets and fixed their ties. Their loud voices turned quiet, their arrogant smiles replaced with nervous grins. "Sir, welcome back!" One of them rushed forward, bowing slightly. Another added quickly, "It's an honor to see you again." They tried to look important, desperate to catch his attention, but the CEO didn't even glance at them. His sharp eyes scanned the room, and then they softened the instant they landed on the simple woman standing alone by the desk. A genuine smile touched his face. Without hesitation, he walked past the executives and went straight to her. "Maria," he said warmly, his voice full of respect, "I was hoping you would come today." The executives froze. Their jaws nearly dropped. The woman looked up, startled, not expecting such recognition. She whispered softly, You remember me?" The CEO's smile grew wider. "How could I forget? You gave me my first chance when no one else believed in me." Whispers spread through the lobby. Guests leaned toward one another, shocked by what they were witnessing. The executives who had insulted her exchanged uneasy glances. Sweat appeared on their foreheads as their confident masks began to break. One of them tried to cover his mistake, stammering, "Sir, you know her?" The CEO turned sharply, his expression now cold and serious. His words carried weight, filling the entire hall. "Know her? This woman gave me my first job when I was nothing, hungry, broke, and invisible to the world. She treated me with kindness when the rest of society turned its back. Without her, I would not be here as the CEO you bow down to today." The silence in the lobby was heavy. The executives shifted uncomfortably, their faces pale. The same woman they had just mocked for her shoes and her handbag was being honored in front of everyone by the most powerful man in the building. Maria's eyes glistened with tears. She never imagined the young man she once helped would grow into a billionaire who now commanded such respect. She whispered, "I only did what felt right." The CEO gently took her hand. And that small kindness changed my entire life. The lobby, once filled with cruel laughter, was now filled with awe. The lesson the executives who had mocked the woman now stood frozen, their pride shattered. Not long ago they had laughed at her clothes, her shoes, and her quiet nature. But now, in front of the entire lobby, their arrogance was exposed for what it truly was, empty and shallow. The CEO faced them with stern eyes. His voice was calm, yet every word struck hard. You see her as ordinary. You see her as unworthy of respect. But let me tell you something. Without her, you would not have me as your leader today. She gave me food when I was starving, advice when I was lost, and faith when I had none. She is the reason I stand here. The executives lowered their heads. They wanted to speak, but no excuse could save them. The weight of their cruelty now felt heavy, pressing on their shoulders. Turning back to the woman, the CEO's expression softened. Maria, he said, tonight you are not a guest, you are the guest of honor. Gasps filled the air. The staff rushed to prepare the finest seat at the table, placing it right beside the CEO. He guided her gently, treating her with more respect than he had shown anyone that night. The same woman who had walked in quietly, enduring insult after insult, was now seated where only the most powerful people ever sat. Guests whispered in amazement. Some clapped quietly, others nodded with admiration. They all knew they were witnessing a moment that would be remembered. The executives stood aside, their faces red with shame, unable to meet her eyes. Maria, overwhelmed, whispered, I never expected this. I only wanted to help back then. Nothing more. The CEO smiled gently. And that is the difference. You gave without expecting anything in return. That is true greatness. Wealth, titles, and suits mean nothing if you have no kindness. Tonight, the world sees who truly matters. The lesson was clear. Respect should never depend on appearance, status, or wealth. Every person carries a story, and sometimes the simple one you overlook has a history more powerful than you could ever imagine. As the night continued, Maria sat beside the man she once helped, no longer hidden in the shadows of the world. Her quiet kindness had come full circle, returning to her in the form of honor, gratitude, and dignity that no money could ever buy. The executives never forgot that night, and neither did anyone else who saw it.